Back to politics this Saturday. Nice to have you with us. Donald Trump is turning his attention now to the general election. This week, he announced a 15-state strategy to win the White House, and that strategy includes some states Republican nominees don't often focus on. However, when we look at the Real Clear Politics average, it shows an uphill battle for Trump in some key swing states. Currently, Hillary Clinton tops him in Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. More on this. Angela McGlowan, Fox News contributor, Doug Smith, managing director for Kent Strategies. Angela, first to you. As we look towards the general election and Donald Trump saying, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there in this very unorthodox way, does that seem smart to you?
Yes, because Donald Trump is unorthodox, and that's why he is as successful as he is today. That's why he is our nominee. People were saying we're going to go to a broker convention. I think he's a great strategist, but he's going to have to put people around him that know policy. And if he can actually lay out a broad plan and a detailed plan, I think he'll do well.
What's scarier for you guys? A Donald Trump who continues in the way he is right now, sort of all over the place, and one day I'm for this and one day I'm against that, but is barnstorming throughout America and going to California, or a quote-unquote far more disciplined traditional Donald Trump who evolves out of the convention and starts focusing hard on West Virginia, focusing hard on Pennsylvania, focusing hard on Ohio?
Well, I don't think we'll ever see a disciplined Donald Trump, so I'm not that worried about that.
Fair enough.
If it were to come to that, I'd be more worried about that, but I think he shows no sign of changing. I mean, every day he says something more outrageous than the next, and I give him credit. It's worked so far, so why should he change? But I think where he's going to run into a lot of problem on this strategy is he has nobody on the ground. I mean, Secretary Clinton has spent months and months and months building up an incredible ground game. And while he is doing an amazing job, 140 characters at a time, when it really comes down to it, it's getting people to the polls in a general election.
But
and
you know
that's
what,
where his
Ted
strategy
Cruz
is
had
really
a
going
great
to fail.
ground game. You had Jeb Bush, great
But
ground.
It was Ted Cruz.
But great ground. Hey, a ground game is a ground game. Still, Donald Trump is appealing to all. You have Latinos that say that they could be the Reagan Democrats. They could be just the new Reagan Democrats are Latinos. He can reach out to different sectors, but I think Hillary Clinton is losing.
You said, though, but it's Donald Trump when talking about the need of a ground game. Couldn't you say the same thing, but it's Hillary Clinton who has a ground game and is not all that popular and has horribly high unfavorables?
Look, I think the fall is going to be a very, very challenging time. But what I would say and what I would question anyone about is, name me a state that Romney won that he's going to be able to be competitive. And I think Donald Trump is going to have a really, really tough ride, whether it's Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and going out there and fighting for these votes. It is going to be
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because you know what?
that.
Romney was and he's establishment. He represents the establishment.
And
Donald
he was
Trump
such a perfect candidate,
anti-establishment.
wasn't he?
Angela, to that point, name a state
Right.
that Romney lost that suddenly Trump is going to be able to win.
Pennsylvania, Florida, and Ohio.
All three of which he's underwater right now.
Exactly.
He's underwater right now.
We should do a friendly bet on that one right now today.
I don't.
We'll see where
I'm
we
not
are.
a gambling person.
All right, so,
you know what?
if we
work for Barrage.
if we stay on this idea of
I work
states,
for Steve Wynn, yes, but do I work for him now? No. There you go.
All right, if we stay on this idea of states, after we get past Angela's employment history,
Take
a look at the map here of the 17 states that Chris Stirewalt says he thinks could conceivably be in play, because Trump won't lay out all 15 states he wants to compete in. But you look at Stirewalt putting in a state like California, a state like Maine, a state like Virginia. Are these states you guys are even worried about?
Look, I think Hillary Clinton's worrying about all the states. It's a smart strategy to have is to focus on all the states.
You can't have a ground game in every state. You can't pour resources in every state.
They already have the resources in all those states. I do think that what we saw in the primary on the Republican side will be a very different thing that we see in the general. I mean, what Donald Trump did was impressive. I mean, he came out of nowhere and took down a pretty impressive field. But what we'll see in the general is a one-on-one, and I think that's where it's going to get a little harder. I mean, he gets great headlines. I love following his Twitter feed. But the deeper and deeper we go into, as you mentioned, he needs policy experience. He has none. And it is going to be really hard. Does policy matter
in this election, Angela?
I think that when he debates Hillary, he is going to have to, because she's great at debating. She is. I think he is going to have to speak more in a detailed way. But I think the great thing about Trump is this. He also speaks in a broad way. That's why he's getting a broad audience.
Well, I think he needs to narrow it down, though. I mean, what he talks about is broads, and that's not doing so well for him. And what I think he really needs to do is begin to focus, whether it's about national security, whether it's about the economy.
Every time we have a panel and every time somebody says Donald Trump needs to do this going forward, he doesn't do it, and he wins. So how do you argue with success here? I mean, where does the argument change? Why suddenly is the general election different than all these primaries that we've made all the same assumptions about and been wrong?
Because it's Hillary Clinton and liberals want to change the argument. The bottom line is this: you have a flawed candidate. If you didn't have a flawed candidate, I don't think Donald Trump would be as popular as he is today.
Doug?
Because she represents the Obama administration.
You got the first word, you get the last.
Yeah, I would say that it's going to be really, really interesting. But I do think the American people are smart people. And up until now, look, I'm a political insider, and I'm sick of it. But I do think as the fall comes around and people really start to focus,
insider too.
They're really going to see the challenges.
And he knows his brief as well.
And, and what we're going to do in the fall. And I think that's when Hillary Clinton's depth and knowledge is really going to start to bring her out in front. I think that's where Donald Trump is really going to suffer, his complete lack of knowledge of any particular one issue.
All right. We will see, indeed. It is 164 days to the election, so I suspect we may have you guys back to talk about this in some time. Angela, Doug, thanks for being here. Appreciate it, guys.